Yo, what's going on, guys? Centurion here, coming at ya with another tier list video. Has been a couple weeks since I've done a tier list, and you guys have made sure to let me know that you missed them, which I do appreciate because they are fun to do. But this one we're going to be doing is an unblockable tier list. Now, I'll get into that a little bit later. I was originally going to do an out of stamina walk tier list, but after looking at a lot of the out of stamina, like run animations or whatever in the game, they're very, very similar. A lot of them just basically look the same. It was kind of hard to distinguish what would be good versus bad, all that shit. And before the video gets even started, guys, go ahead and drop a like on it, because I hear if you like the video, you can actually gain the power to communicate with sea lions. See, myself, I already have had the power. Watch, I go up to a sea lion, just my local sea lion facility, go up to one, I'm like, "Rrr," and they're like, oh, yeah, bet. See, I just said like the video, but that was in sea lions. So you guys want to be able to do that too, go ahead and just hit that button. Appreciate it. So getting into this tier list though, right? The unblockable tier list. What does this exactly mean? Now, when I say unblockable tier list, I'm saying unblockable attacks that do damage. So let's just say, for an example, you know, like a Warlord headbutt. Technically, it's an unblockable attack, but that doesn't really do damage. You could also look at something, you know, like Valkyrie's shield bash. That doesn't do damage. It's technically unblockable. It doesn't work. And then I'm also looking not at, you know, deflect attacks or like superior attacks, like for an example, again, Warlord and Valkyrie both have lights like that, crushing counters from like Warden and Highlander. I'm not really considering those. I'm considering just unblockable attacks that can be thrown from like neutral, or, you know, off of like maybe off of like a parry or whatever. Just not like, you know, throwing just random shit. Like a kick from Nobushi is unblockable, but it doesn't do damage really, so it's not considered it. So in this video, again, we are going to be ranking things from S to D. D being dog shit, S being super sweet, and you are going to be noticing that the D list is going to be actually pretty long, because there's quite a lot of characters that actually don't have unblockable attacks. That's kind of surprising to me. I wasn't actually thinking it would be this high of a number, but it turns out it is. So we're going to go right into this video and go ahead and start in the D tier. So starting off in the D tier, we have Peacekeeper. Now, I don't know too much to say really about these ones since they don't have unblockables, so I'll just go ahead and show you the moveset. As we go into the moveset, you can look on here for the unblockable symbol, which is the little orange thing. As we can see, it's only here at the bottom, but that's for a deflect. Therefore, it's not a true unblockable attack. So, PK doesn't have any, making her in the D tier. Next in the D tier, we have Warlord. And as we can see, if we go to the actual moveset, you're actually going to see a lot of the unblockable symbol, but unfortunately none of these actually do damage. Crashing charge, no damage there. And then all of this, the shield counters off of a parry. The shield hit does not actually do the damage. And headbutt itself doesn't do the damage, it's the follow-up, so it's just basically like a bash. So I can't really consider that to be an unblockable attack. Next up in the D tier is going to be the Roachman. Now, with Orochi, again, if we go into the moveset, we're going to see that there is no unblockable symbols until we get to the very end, which is for his two deflects, which again are not unblockable attacks. He did get reworked, but I think he's one of like the only reworks that has happened where the character actually didn't get like some sort of unblockable attack added to them if they didn't have one already. So it kind of sucks for Orochi, but again, no unblockable attack. Next up on the D tier is Shinobi. Again, Shinobi has some like unblockable-esque things. Again, like, you know, his kick is unblockable. He also has the slide tackle and things of that nature, and as well as his deflects. But if we go to the moveset, those are basically all we're going to see. As you can see, tackle right there. The sickle rain mix-up isn't really like an unblockable attack per se. It's just like a lock-up right there. The front roll kick that you can do after attacks, again, doesn't really do any damage. And then the kick as well right there, as well as the teleport after a deflect kick. So those are all unblockable-esque, but they don't actually do damage. They're not actual attacks, so he's in the D tier. Next up in the D tier, we have Valkyrie, and Valkyrie has a couple unblockable-esque things, like, of course, the shield bash and then the sweep as well are also unblockable, but those don't do damage. The other things that she has that are technically unblockable would be her crushing counter lights, but those are caused from inputting a normal light when the person throws an attack, so it's not actually like inputting an unblockable light to do it. And again, if we look at the moveset, if we scroll all the way down, look for those icons, those are the three things right there. The shield tackle, we got the shoulder pin as well, and we have the spear sweep. And then those crushing counters, which are actually somewhere over here, which I can't find. But, you know, you guys, superior block light attacks right here. So, yeah, no unblockable attacks for Valkyrie. Next up in the D tier, we have the Chandi. And, again, the only unblockable attacks that you have from them are going to be Palm Strike, you're going to have the heavy kick after right there. And then again, if you're able to do the, I guess it's like a superior block deflect thing where you dash, and sometimes if they attack in that direction when you're doing the dash light, you're able to get the unblockable on there. But if we go to the moveset, again, you can see over here, we have the palm strike, the dragon kick, and then if you scroll down the moveset, all you see are the palm strike combos, so no unblockable attacks for the Chiandi. The final character in the D tier, yes, I know, finally over, I think there's like 7 characters in here, is going to be Nobushi. The only unblockable-esque thing Nobushi has is the kick right here, and again, that doesn't do damage. It can confirm damage, right, with either a follow-up little bleed stab, or if it's into a wall, you can get a heavy, but no unblockable attacks for the Nobushi. If we scroll down here on the moveset, that's the only thing you're going to see is the unblockable icon on the kick, nothing else. So, had to put her in the D tier. So now we'll be moving into the C tier. The C tier are people who have unblockable attacks, but they're really just shit, honestly. They're not too effective of attacks, but they still have it regardless, so you can't put them into the D tier. So first off in the C tier, we have Nushia, and she has her traps. I was first off thinking, is this really an unblockable attack? And well, actually it is. It's exactly what it is. If you actually try to block this attack, you will get damaged. So she has her both heavy and zone traps. Honestly, they're pretty crap though. You can really counter them if you're just like, if I do this to this warden right here, he doesn't have his guard in that position. It just doesn't work. Honestly, the best thing about traps is that even if you miss it though, you can at least follow it up with like a light attack. But if you do manage to hit it, even the zone one on the side, they seem to do pretty damn good damage. So that's pretty decent. But again, it's just not a very good attack for her to use. The follow-up after it, though, can be a little bit scary, so that's why she's in C. Next up in the C tier is going to be Aramusha. Now, Aramusha technically has 2 unblockable attacks, if you're counting his Blade Blockade Twin Vipers, which is the side heavies, but I'm not actually counting that because you have to do an all block, basically, to get into that attack, so it's not something you can just throw out. So the attack he does have is his zone, which is a little bit quick, but the first hit of it actually isn't unblockable. And you find just a real majority of the times that either, you know, people won't throw the last part of it through. You'll usually try to feint it because that's a better mix-up tool. Or people will just parry the first part so you don't even get the unblockable to go through. So that kind of sucks. Aramusha's, you know, right there. It's not that high of damage either. So it's kind of shit, to be completely honest. Next in the C tier, we have Conqueror. Now, Conqueror does obviously have unblockables in the form of bashes, as we all know, with bashes like this, and then canceling out, you know, heavy attacks and whatnot, as well as if you're from all block, getting a confirmed hit on there, you do an unblockable flail uppercut, basically. But those aren't true unblockable attacks. The only real one that Conqueror has is when you charge this thing up right here, you throw an unblockable through, but honestly, it takes a little bit for that to charge up. Most people, if they even try to do that, will get interrupted. Probably safer bet to just go for a heavy, especially if you're trying to cancel it. No one wants to just do that. And even if you're trying to cancel into the shield bash after, I guess you could try to do that to bring like extra threat because the unblockable's coming through, but it's just a very slow timer for it to kind of wind up and go for it. So honestly, that's why I had to put it in C, because it's not the most useful thing in Conqueror's kit. Now we'll be moving into the B tier. The B tier is just going to be your pretty much average unblockable attacks. They're okay. They're not like crazy damn good, but you know, they're decent. And starting off into the B tier is going to be the Warden. Now, Warden does also have a crushing counter to the top, which you can do, which does pretty good damage, but it's not like a true unblockable attack that I say. The only one really that he has is the unblockable top heavy finisher, which you basically need to have like as a finisher. You can't just throw it out for neutral, so that's why it's not like crazy good. And really the only things you can do from it are either feint it or let it go through, which you find most of the time people fainting, you might be able to catch some people off guard who just aren't really aware by throwing it actually through. And that's that can do some pretty good damage. But again, you know, it's just like a pretty basic one. It's nothing too crazy. It's not like overpowered in any way, so that's why it's slotted into the B. Next up in the B tier, we have Shaolin. Now, a lot of Shaolin's chi stance basically is kind of unblockable-esque, but really the only unblockable that he has is the top heavy from it. So if I enter into the stance and then I do the top heavy unblockable right there, as you can see, I can actually feint it, or I can just choose to let it go through once I'm actually in the stance, and it can do some pretty decent damage. Now, like, he does have other things as well in there, like he has a sweep, he has a kick and all that stuff, but that actually doesn't do damage. You can actually choose if you want to follow up with the top heavy unblockable after the kick as an option, but this is the only one that he has. But since you can actually do some okay mix-ups with it, I put it in B. But since you have to be in the actual stance for it to work, you need to you know, actually have like some sort of like prerequisite to actually get into the attack. That's why it's not nowhere higher. And then he also has his deflect, but again, that's like a, it's basically like once you're in it, you do it from the same side and you let go of your stance. It does an unblockable attack if they attack you from the same area, so that's not really considered in my book. So just the top heavy right there. So I decided to put it into B tier. Next in the B tier, we have Gladiator. Gladiator's unblockable move that he has is his skewer, which is right there. The only thing about that's like decent about this is you can go pretty quickly with it. And if you do actually hit it, you can, you know, throw into a wall, get more confirmed damage off of that. Plus, it applies a bleed to it. But you can cancel it really quickly and kind of like throw your opponent off. If you're just trying to do different things like that, you can cancel it and just kind of go into like just a big string of like skewer feints, basically. You know, just keep trying to doing it over and over again, basically. You can kind of throw your opponent off. But the attack itself isn't crazy great, so that's why it's in B. But you can do some pretty decent mix-ups with it. Again, like I said, if you do hit it, you can throw them into a wall, potentially get a heavy after it, etc., etc. So, put it in the B tier. Next up in the B tier, we have Black Prior. Now, Black Prior's unblockable attack actually comes from when you're in Bulwark stance. Right there, again, I had the mind to put this in D tier just because I fucking hate everything that is about this character. If I hear Tenebris one more time, I'm going to chemically castrate myself. So, that's the thing about this one. You have to be in Bulwark so you can actually counter it, but you can actually feint it as well, which is a pretty decent startup right there. I don't think you can cancel it into Bash, but it is decent damage right there, and, you know, you can do it relatively quickly, so people might not actually be able to always get you, you know, like a counter out of Bulwark. And again, if they try to Bulwark, or if they try to attack you, you can just, you know, Bulwark flip them after it, so that can be a nice little mix-up tool. But I see a lot of people actually use this. It's not crazy, but it's an alright attack, so that's why I decided to put it in the B tier. Now we'll be moving into the A tier. The A tier are going to be, obviously, better than B, but not as good as S. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. They're pretty decent unblockables, but they're not the top of the top ones. And starting off in the A tier, we're going to have Kensei. Now, Kensei's unblockable, as you guys know, is a finishing heavy, but unfortunately, Kensei has 3 attack chains, basically. So, like, well, not 3 attack chains, but he has 3 hit combos. So basically, I would have to hit 3 times before I go into the top unblockable right there. There are good, you know, mix-ups that you can do out of the unblockable. I say that's where Kensei strives, but unfortunately, I'm not really, this isn't a mix-up guide, or mix-up tier list. This is actually just the unblockable tier list. So throwing that through can, you know, people don't expect you to really always throw it through because there is so many options. So just throwing it through, you do like a nice little 45 damage with it. It's pretty solid, and it hits a lot of people a lot of the time, and it's pretty good in gank scenarios. 1v1s, it might not be as effective, but it's a pretty solid attack nonetheless. The only downside, like I said, is it's a 3-hit combo to get from it. The only way to like get there a little bit quicker is maybe off of a parry doing a helm splitter to where you can flow right into it. So that's considered basically like a 2-hit combo actually. But, you know, it's not quite one of the best in the game, but it's still pretty solid, so that's why it's an A. Next up in the A tier, we have Mr. Incredibilis, aka Centurion. Now, Centurion's unblockable is it's an interesting one. If you get hit by a Centurion unblockable from neutral like this, as the finisher, you should probably just uninstall the game, unless you just have never seen the attack before and you're completely new and have never seen Centurion. The timing can be a little bit wonky, but that is something that you should not be getting hit by. But it is an insane combo if you actually do get a hit, because you get the full charge jab as well as the Eagle's Talon or whatever I think it's called, and you also get it confirmed if they're on a wall, which is also very, very nice. And it's a pretty good attack just for that reason only. Having, you know, a sick punish once it does get hit, but hitting it is another story, especially like this. It's just, you should probably quit the game if you get hit by it. No offense, I mean, I've probably gotten hit by it, but yeah, not super crazy, and it's pretty easy to avoid. That's why it's not an S, but you do get a really nice punish from it if you do get hit, so that's why I put it in A. Alright guys, next in the A tier is going to be Lawbringer, and you might be thinking, but Toeknee, Lawbringer Unblockable is very bad. And you know what? You would probably be correct when saying this, but if there's anything about Lawbringer, you have to just admire the the pure force that he brings when he throws through, and as well as saying the, you know, the ad mortem in amicus. I know we're not rating the voice lines on here, we're rating the attacks, but just look at the actual, just like strength that this man brings right here. Like, he comes down pretty hard. He's giving it his all right there, all right? This guy doesn't have much to live for. Maybe with this new rework, maybe he'll have even more unblockable attacks, potentially. But this one right here is just, it's just crazy. Okay, I killed the bot and I didn't mean to. But the ad mortem is, it should, whoo! Basically, no one throws it through, and it's slow, and it's kind of shit, but if it does hit, that's a very satisfying thing. So that's why you gotta put an A. Not quite S, because the attack is, you know, a little bit shit, but I feel like it would be an injustice to not put Lawbringer in at least A. And the final character that we have in the A tier is going to be Highlander. Some of you guys might think that this would be S, but again, Highlander has crushing counters that he can do from all sides, which again, I'm not including as part of his unblockable things. His real attacks come from the heavy mode, the offensive stance. So he can actually have a unblockable that throws just completely through you. If you let go of the offensive stance, he throws through an unblockable attack. You can actually feint it, as you saw right there. I feinted the attack, and you can actually also cancel it into other attacks that actually go out into the offensive stance. So you can cancel it into kick, you could maybe cancel it into caber, you could maybe even cancel it into kick caber, but if you throw it all the way through, like there, it's going to do some decent damage. I believe it's 40 damage for it right there, and people are really expecting you to do kick or kick into caber or one of the variations right there. So just sometimes just throwing through the unblockable itself is pretty nice, but again, it is relatively slow, so if you see someone just kind of throw that through, you can get a pretty easy parry in my opinion, but it's not always expected, so that's why I have to put it in A, and it's not crazy amazing, so just the attack on itself, the whole combinations of stuff is really good, so that's why it is not an S, but I had to put it in A. Now we're going to be moving into S tier, and S tier again is going to be the tippity top of the unblock, dude. Giving the tip of the cock in the unblock. Okay, I don't know what I was saying right there, but anyways, S are the best in the game. And starting off in S, we have Shigoki, and you're like, oh, honey, you think Shigoki good at everything, but that's just simply not the case. He is actually quite counterable. But his charged Waga Shuniari, I mean, simply due to the fact that you can just say, you know, Waga Shuniari is just one of the best voice lines in the game, it's actually a really good tool because it does a lot of damage, and I can't show it right now in the training arena, but if I was in like a Dominion match, you can actually, while charging up, switch targets mid-fight, like mid-charge. So if I'm locked onto this warden, I could charge it up and say someone was over here to the left, I could start charging and then switch guards to someone on the left, and it would hit that person instead of the person who I initially started the charge on, which actually is, I believe, the best thing that happened in Shigoki's new rework. I think it's really, really good, and now the fact that you can actually do it from neutral or as a combo finisher is actually a lot better, and then being able to flow into things like Demon's Embrace again is pretty solid. So I guess, would you consider Demon's Embrace an unblockable attack? I guess since you can't block it, so technically Shigoki has 2, which is more than what most people have, I guess, as unblockable attacks and whatnot, because this one actually does damage. It's not like a bash or anything. So the big man is in the S tier. Next up in the S tier, we have young JJ Jangjun. Now Jangjun also has 2 unblockable attacks. Now you might be thinking, like, Tony, you've kind of been going on the census that, like, you're not doing deflex, you're not doing like crushing counters, but I am going to be including JJ's parry riposte in here, as some people say. So, I mean, I think it's considered all things because, you know, it's not like forced to do, basically. Like, you have the option to choose to do the unblockable, but I feel like it's, you know, kind of, you want to do that on parries because, especially in like a gank scenario, it's going to hit everyone basically in a 360-degree cone, which kind of is terrifying because, you know, it does really good damage. But he does have finishing unblockables, as you can see right there. There's a finishing unblockable, and you can do it from all sides, and it does pretty good damage. You can also feint it normally, or you can feint it by going into Sifu's right there and trying to potentially, you know, just bait out your opponent. But again, like I said, if I put the bot right onto an AI level 1, I can parry and do the riposte right there off of the parry, which does really decent damage, and it's very quick, and no one can actually react to it if you're, you know, you're just gonna get hit by it, essentially. So that kind of sucks for them, but it is a pretty good tool set to have for JJ, and the fact that he has 2, gotta put him in S. Next in the S tier, we have Shaman, and I believe this is the first time I've ever put Shaman in the S tier of any tier list, so I guess congratulations, you finally made one. Shaman also, I guess, technically has 2 unblockables. She has finishers to the left side, which are unblockable, as you can see right here, which you can either throw through, you can soft feint into GB like so, or you can actually dash cancel them and go into something different, like, you know, one of those fucking windy attacks that everyone seems to do. But also, the pounce when someone is bleeding would also be considered an unblockable attack because it has the animation and it does damage. And it actually heals her and gives her full stamina back. So that's pretty good, and it does a shit ton of damage as well. So it's very, very effective, and you can follow it up even after you miss it. So she's got a lot of tools, basically, for the unblockableness. And let me just tell you, even more so than the bite itself, the freaking just normal finisher right here, I always guess wrong. Just me personally, always get it wrong, always get hit by whatever. She guard breaks, I'm always thinking she's going to throw it through. If I think she's going to guard break, I always end up getting hit by it. I don't know why. Maybe I suck. It's probably that. But anyways, you got a lot of options with the Shaman that makes her kind of strong to deal with. So that's why she is going to be in the S tier. Next up in the S tier is going to be Zerk. Zerk is the just king of unblockables and hyper armor. He's got quite a few, so you can basically do kind of a finisher to the side unblockable like so. So if I did this, you can try to do that, which you can also feint and then, you know, kind of keep a chain going, kind of like so. You can kind of continue your chain after it, which you can do with the top as well, but the top is even more strong because you only need to throw 1 attack. So let's just say I throw like a light attack and then I do this, and then I can just continue to kind of create some sort of pressure like that, and then little do you know, you're dead, you get kicked in the nuts, and then your head's gone. So Zerk's unblockable pressure, as well as just his other attacks having the hyper armor on them, makes him quite a force to be reckoned with. So you have to put Zerk in S, I believe, just because it's such a strong part of his kit, and it's used very, very frequently. So you have to put him in S. The final character in S tier is going to be Raider. Some people might disagree with this, saying that Raider's zone unblockable is actually really shit. And if you just throw it from neutral, just like this right here, it's not that good. I believe it does like 28 damage or something. It's nothing crazy high, but what you can do, especially, I mean, if you have Revenge, you can Beyblade it, but I think it's most useful for the fact that you actually are able to unlock very well with it and like lock onto other targets to get a nice like huge arc with it, and it'll clip a lot of different people, and it'll often kill you when he's not even locked onto you and you might think it is, and then you just end up dying. So I mean, being able to you know, also being able to, when they allowed you to cancel any attack into a stun tap, was a decent buff for it. So, you know, people sometimes, you know, get caught by it, even though stun taps are super, super easy to parry. And you can also, you know, feint, go into this, and then go off GB. I guess it's the optimal GB punish when you're not near a wall, per se. So, I mean, I think Raiders is still very, very good, especially in the 4v4s. If it's just looking at 1v1s, it's probably not one of the strongest. But I think just because of the utility it provides in, like, anti-gank scenarios, I'd say you'd have to put it in S. Now, making a surprise special appearance, the S+ tier. And you know what's in the S+ tier? Kensei unblockable feat. Because you know what's better than 1 unblockable? What's better than 2 unblockables? Everything being unblockable. Therefore, Kensei actually takes the top spot. How you thought I wasn't gonna put Kensei in the top? You guys are actually so darn gullible. But let's just be honest, this is still a pretty strong feat, even after the nerf. I mean, it's not quite as long, which is pretty solid, but some people seem to, you know, they just, anytime they see all these unblockables, they just don't know what to do. They're like, I want to block, but I simply cannot do it. So S+ tier, Kensei unblockable feat. There we go. Well, that's going to do it for the video. And I'm really upset that Shinobi's on the main screen when I'm doing this outro. But anyways, if you guys want to see the full list, I will put it up on the screen right now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and be sure to leave a comment, you know, if you have anything that you might have changed in it. You know, again, these aren't very serious. These are just all opinionated, and they're just kind of for fun as well. So don't take them like I'm actually being like super serious when making these lists. But like I said, hope you enjoyed. You know, leave your ideas for other tier lists. I have some other ones planned out as well. They just take a little bit to edit and make, so that's why they're not super frequently all the time. But like I said, it's been your boy Tony. Talk to you in the next one. Peace.